Hi, I'm Greg, your car angel. In this video, we'll continue our series on how to detail an engine like a professional. And for this particular video, I'm choosing this Toyota Tundra, which has 137,000 miles on it. And this engine has never been cleaned, not in its history, and it's saw a lot of agricultural use. So you can just see how very dirty this engine bay is. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be detailing this portion as well as the engine and in the entire engine bay, and I will be also seeing to this radiator. It has a lot of bugs and stuff that kind of you can see how that's collected over time. So now my experience has been that most engines can tolerate water. There's just a few specific areas that you need to really be careful of, and I'll go through those rather quickly right now. So the first area is the mass airflow sensor. Now this is probably the most critical of all the areas in the engine that you're going to have to make sure it doesn't get any moisture in it. And it's always on the intake there right after the air filter. So I use foil. It serves a really good purpose of being able to wrap around whatever electrical connection that you're trying to protect. And it's very simple, and it doesn't blow off when you power wash. So this is a really nice way to do this, much better than plastic bags or whatever anybody else is using out there. And if you get heavy duty foil, it's even better. I'm just going to take regular foil. And now there's other areas here that you'll see that you might want to consider protecting. Now anything that has electrical wires going through it, now see, this is dirty and you're going to be putting foil on it. But before you put foil on it, just take an old toothbrush and do that, and then you can just put your foil right on there. Doesn't take much. I don't know if you can get that focus there, Rick. Is that nice and focused? Yeah. Okay. So we're just kind of going around the engine and looking at any kind of things that look vulnerable. Now the spark plugs and coils are usually okay. There's a few cars that you might have to worry about. Mercedes-Benz has deep wells that the spark plugs are in, and those deep wells would be filled up with water. So like in a Mercedes-Benz 5.0, you don't want to do this. But most Japanese engines are very tolerable of water. So now these are the only areas that I can see on this engine that need attention, and I'll start the process by putting on all-purpose cleaner everywhere on this engine that I want to have clean. Before I do that, we'll go down to this radiator real quick, and you'll see that I just got a little brush, and you know, I can get all these bugs off of there. You want to use a nice soft bristle brush, because if you have a wire brush, then you're going to damage the fins. You don't want to damage the fins. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and degrease the engine. Yeah, I laid a couple of under pads under the engine block to capture a lot of the oil that's going to be coming off of the cleaning process, and this will absorb quite a bit of that, and it's much better than it going into the ground, or even worse, going into the ocean. So this is just the right thing to do. And for the degreaser, I don't really care which degreaser. It doesn't really matter as long as it's heavy duty. And just before I do that, I'm actually going to put on my my mask. So starting from the top, I'm going to put my degreaser on. And if you have A hood insulation blanket that's right here, you want to avoid that, because when you're going to be taking a power sprayer to this, and the hood insulation blanket is not going to respond really well to high pressure. But in this case, we don't have a hood insulation blanket, so we're good to put this right on there. Okay, so now we're just dousing the entire engine bay with degreaser, and the whole idea is just to get the degreaser everywhere where there's dirt, especially around any of the fluid reservoirs. That you'll find a buildup around the power steering reservoir. You'll find a buildup around the brake fluid reservoir. That's usually very dirty right there. I've done hundreds and hundreds of engine details, so you really don't have to be afraid of the moisture getting onto the engine. There's some corrosion in the battery. We're going to fix that up. Some people get freaked out about alternators. I've never found a reason to protect an alternator from moisture. So you don't want to do this on a hot engine. Warm is okay. In fact, I prefer a warm engine just because I feel like it helps keep the moisture from migrating into the areas that we don't want because of the heat. Now, I know this is an engine detail video, but this is a small area that, because you have your power washer out, you have everything, this gas cap area is always filthy. So what I do is I just hit this with the all-purpose and then go back to the engine detail, and I'm going to power spray this out at the end of the process to clean that area up as well. Okay, so now I'm going to power wash the entire area. So you can do this with a high pressure hose if you want, but power sprayer is really fast and effective. So starting from the top, I'm going to work my way down and just get this baby cleaned up. Okay, that's done. So now I'm going to just remove all of my foil. And I'm going to start the engine, and I'm going to allow this to dry out. So starting the engine is going to create some heat in here, and we're going to dry it out before we put our final polish on the engine compartment for that nice sheen, and we'll be doing that with trim shine. So one last detail that I wanted to do was that gas tank, right? The gas filler area. So you just hit that. Come a little further this way there, Rick, and you'll see that that's still pretty dirty, and we're just gonna hit that, and boy, that makes a huge difference. All right, so we're going to start the engine and create some heat. Perfect. So let that run. I'm going to close the hood just so that that heat can build up and dry off that the whole engine area. And Give that about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes of heat buildup, and then we'll just wipe down any small areas of heat, and then we're going to apply the trim shine. Okay, so now I'm just going to pull these pads out here, and you can see this, how much oil and gunk is in there. So now I'm just going to wipe down any excess water that got pooled in the engine compartment here before I apply my trim shine. And trim shine, of course, is going to make this engine look, right at this point it still doesn't look really good. You still have a lot of whitish kind of film, and it's not looking the way that we want it yet, but that's where trim shine comes in. And trim shine is the detailer's choice for doing exactly what I'm about to do, and you'll see what difference it makes. So I'm just going to start by hitting everything, basically, and you'll see that it just magically transforms this all the white. It's going to do half the engine just so you can really see this really makes the difference that it does. The only area that I would stay away from with this trim shine would be the manifold, the heat shield on the manifold. Okay, you can see how this half of the engine already is looking so much better than the other half. Okay, so I'll just continue doing the entire engine now, and you'll see the results. So there you have it, a really nice look. So of course, after dressing your engine with trim shine, and if you're a professional detailer, you want to also get this gallon model of the trim shine. These are two different products though. I mean, they do the same thing, but this is water based and this is solvent based. And the solvent base is going to be used on areas on your car, the trim for instance, and the engine compartment that are going to see a lot more exposure. Whereas the liquid trim shine, which is water based, you want to use on your interior, and I also used it on the hood here, the underside of the hood. What I'm going to do now is just sort of wipe down the areas that sort of have a little bit of a greasy look to it from that trim shine. You don't want that greasy look. So I just take a rag and I go around and make sure that it doesn't have that, because that's kind of a dust collector. And I just go all around the engine. I'll also pick up any spots that I might have missed with my trim shine, and just get all the hoses. In my opinion, it looks a lot better if it's a little bit not so shiny. All right, so that's looking really good. Much better than when we started. And when you go to sell your car, by the way, this is something that you definitely want to be doing. Someone who buys a car is going to look at the engine compartment, and if it looks clean, the feeling is you took care of your car. And if it's dirty, like when we started, they're going to open the engine compartment, see it, and regardless of how well you took care of your engine, the feeling is going to be that you didn't if the engine's dirty. So it really pays off to do this before a sale. So I hope you enjoyed my how to detail an engine video. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. I'm Greg, your car angel. Bye-bye.